Hello everyone, welcome to the channel for everything Arsenal and welcome to a special player ratings video. We will be rating every single player out of 10 for their season performances from the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, Europa League, almost said Champions League, Community Shield, all of those competitions. How did they do combining all those competitions? So make sure you guys help out in the comments. And yeah, my guest today is whom? How are you?
I'm good, man. Good to be back. It's been a while,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I'm really
yeah.
happy to be back. And I think being back in this way, I think there's less pressure. So yeah, it's nice. It's more chill. It's more chill. We just get to look back, maybe not for too long, and definitely not too fondly, and
Yeah.
at the same time, hopefully look forward. So yeah.
Yeah, if you had to look in detail, we can take 2 hours on Aubameyang alone. So
Yeah,
that's how it is
yeah.
with Arsenal. So obviously, a lot of players played, like for example, 3 goalkeepers, and we had like 20 players. The players we won't rate are the likes of Mustafi and Kolasinac Chua, and that they played in the first half of the season. The likes of Socrates didn't play, Ozil didn't play, Willock played a few games. Nelson played a few games. Niles played a few games, but we won't rate those players. We'll rate the ones who've been here for me basically the entire season, apart from the likes of Odegaard. So the first player we're going to talk about is Alex RUNARSSON. So Alex RUNARSSON played one game against City, and I'll bring up a photo that you'd remember. That was against City when he mishandled Mahrez's free kick and he dropped it. What do you remember about that game, and what rating would you give RUNARSSON for the one performance?
I remember I remember that incident. But then I remember he kind of grew into the game even though we conceded 4 goals that night. And then he did play some Europa League games if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Against Dundalk and another one. So I think 3 games to be
Yeah,
fair. Yeah, he actually played 3 games.
yeah. I mean, essentially we signed him as a replacement for Emi Martinez to be the backup keeper for Leno. We it was on the face of it was business. 2.5 million after selling 2.5 million euros after
Yeah,
selling Emi Martinez for 20 million pounds. So
yeah,
it didn't look like a bad deal in the first place. But then obviously as we saw him play, we could just tell he still has a long way to go. And
yeah,
I just don't know if he's ever really going to make it. He was a signing that was made by a recommendation, our
yeah,
goalkeeping coach Inaki, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, mm,
Yeah, I mean, if our out of 10, right? I think I'd
yeah,
give it a 2 or 3. It's a massive fail. He did
yeah,
have some good saves. He did have some good
hmm
saves here and there, but honestly, if you were looking for potential, you're scrapping. If you're looking at those saves and thinking, yeah, maybe there's something there. You're really looking under the mattress. You're looking under your pillow. You're looking under
mm,
that old pile of clothes. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So yeah, it's a
There's
massive
one
fail for
thing.
me.
There's one thing I take from that: you get what you pay for. If you pay 2 million, that's what you're going to get, a £2 million player.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
not
true.
good enough. Even against Dundalk, there's a ball he should have handled when we won, I think 4-1 away from home. It should have been an
Mm.
easy save for him, fluffed it. So yeah, it is a terrible signing. Obviously, it didn't work out for him.
But
I'm sure he also wants to leave. Yeah,
But yeah, I can imagine he might want to. He's also
yeah,
like a bit underwhelming in terms of stature. He's not a big keeper. He's not very
yeah,
commanding. He looks timid. He
yeah,
looks timid. He looks like he can get bullied around. And
yeah,
I, I, I don't want to be too harsh. I don't want to say he has a weak mentality, but he just never really imposed his personality on the team. You
yeah,
never really saw him commanding his defenders. He just looked scared a lot of the times.
yeah,
In terms of whether he's gonna want to leave, I don't know. But 2.5 million, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you're gonna be bad,
mm,
or you're not gonna be of the standard required for a club like
yeah,
Arsenal, because we've
yeah,
seen Arsene Wenger do it so many times. One of our invincibles, Kolo Toure, for
yeah,
300,000 pounds, so even
yeah,
cheaper. You know what I mean? Not
yeah.
accounting for inflation, but yeah, I think I'd give him a 2. What would you give him?
I'd give him a 2. I agree with that. Maybe even less, but I don't want to be too harsh as well. So I'm going to give him a 2. Cookie says RUNARSSON 3, worst replacement for Emi. I'm sorry, Emi's best goalkeeper in the league this year. RUNARSSON made 3 appearances, and RUNARSSON isn't that young either. David gives him a 3, and RK gives him a 2. So Yeah, between 2 and 3, nothing high, and no one has really given him
thing
something
is,
like a 1. Yeah.
I can understand why guys would give him a bit of a 3, because it's not necessarily his fault, you know, that he was exposed the way that he did. A lot of the reason why he's looked so bad is because he wasn't ready, and our recruitment policy was off. They didn't do enough to get him ready, and that goalkeeping coach, who I think might lose his job this summer, you know, he's I think largely to blame at RUNARSSON's disappointing season. It's not his fault. I mean, who did we sign? We signed a keeper from Dijon in the French league. You know, they're
Icelandic
not
goalkeeper. How many Icelandic goalkeepers do you know?
Exactly. I mean, the only one I do know, you know, what, doesn't he play for Everton or in the Premier League? He played in the World Cup, and he was pretty decent. But yeah, it was just I can't blame the player too much. I blame our recruitment. I blame the manager. I blame Edu. I blame the goalkeeping coach mostly, and I also blame obviously the manager for trusting the goalkeeping coach. It can't just be on recommendations. It has to be on stats. It has to be
Friends
by
and all
data.
that,
Exactly.
So RUNARSSON, we settled with that too. Then the next one is Matt Ryan. Obviously joined us in January. I think he actually joined us to play in the FA Cup, but after a week we went out of that. So basically he didn't have a lot to play. Unlucky against Aston Villa, not considered in the first 30 seconds against Watkins. But I think he's played 2 or 3 games, and I kept 1 clean sheet the last time he played. So what would you give Matt Ryan for the 3 appearances?
I'd give him, we're allowed to do decimals, right?
Nah, not really. Not really.
Okay, so then I think honestly I can't say too much. I'd give it a 6. Above average. It's above average because you said he was brought in for the FA Cup. I think he was brought in because I agree, definitely for the FA Cup, and ironically we were knocked out. But he was also brought in because if Bernd Leno got injured again, we would have to depend on Alex Runarsson for the Premier League. And I think that really scared Arsenal fans. It scared the board. It scared the management team. So he was brought in, I think, also for the Premier League, just in case Bernd Leno got injured. But honestly, when he came in, right, I thought he was solid. His ball handling was fantastic midair. He never dropped the ball. He was better, in my opinion, at coming out for crosses than Bernd Leno. And I think he was just as good at passing the ball around with his feet as well. And he was a decent shot stopper. So one clean sheet out of three appearances, and he didn't really get any game time. Honestly, I think there's a good keeper in there, and I wouldn't mind. I would be happy. I wouldn't be excited. I'd be happy if he was brought in to continue being cover for Leno. He looks a decent keeper.
I don't think Brighton want him, and Brighton's third choice goalkeeper, who's now first choice, has been picked for Spain. So it looks like he's on form, and they're going to keep him. So I agree with you on Ryan. 6, I think he did well for the games he played for the time. Even against Aston Villa, when you considered in the first minute, for the rest of the game, he did quite well. So I agree with the 6.
And it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault.
He did concede. It wasn't his fault. Yeah, it was mostly Rob Holding.
Cedric mistake. Yeah, Cedric and Holding mistakes. So the next one, obviously, our first choice goalkeeper, Bernd Leno. Now, obviously, the last 2 seasons, basically, it would have been a 7 or an 8. This time around, maybe not. There's a couple of games where he really had a terrible time, like Wolves away when he picked up the red card. But let's not forget Everton at home when he left Richarlison's not even a shot. He literally spilled it inside. So what would you give Bernd Leno out of 10 for the entire season?
I genuinely feel if I give him a 5, I'd be flattering him a little bit. Because, look, I think it says a lot that we have conceded one of the fewest amounts of goals in the league, right? One of the clubs that have conceded the fewest amounts of goals. But he doesn't have too many clean sheets to his name. I think that's down to him. Although there are a lot of silly goals that we conceded ourselves. But for example, like the Wolves mistake, the Everton mistake, there were a few other saves where you just think, oh, come on, Bernd, like you should be making that kind of save, you know? Maybe some decision making in terms of his passing out the back, putting some players under pressure. Like a lot of people were debating whether Granit Xhaka, the pass should have gone to him against Burnley. or even if it should have gone to Ceballos in the Europa League. So I can't. I think I know there's a good keeper in there. I think it's been a very unstable season for the whole team, and he's no what's the word I'm looking for? He's no exception to that as well. So I think definitely this guy, there's a good keeper in him, but I'm afraid this season we have to give him a 5. I can't even give him a 6. There were some great saves.
Wow.
There were some great saves he's pulled off. There were some great saves that really give you hope. You know, you go like, hey, this is why this guy is potentially world class. But look, even with, I think it's telling, you know, this guy still got the German national team call up, right? So it's because despite, I think even they know, despite the weird season that he's had, there's still a very good keeper, a reliable keeper in there. And hopefully now with a bit more stability for the next season, with our squad and the manager and more time to train, being out of Europe, like I told you. So I think there's a good keeper in there. 5. I'm gonna go 5. What about you?
There was that careless handling of the ball outside the box against Wolves. Against Rapid Vienna, people don't remember this. In the first game of the Europa League this season, he gave away the ball. He gave away the goal for them. He literally passed the ball to them. That Burnley thing you said with Xhaka. Also with Ceballos against, I think it was Olympiacos away from home when he should have passed it. He passed it to Ceballos and he was marked. And then some of the handling, I know with Burnley, I think with the defenders, I think having Leno at the back doesn't fill them with confidence. Same with Leno with the defenders. I think knowing that, oh, it's holding in front of me, I cannot be sure. Like the way Liverpool will be like, you know what, I think Alisson would be great behind me. No worries. I don't think he fills defenders up with confidence. So you wouldn't really trust him. But shot stopping, man, he's very good at shot stopping. I think most of the games would have lost if it wasn't for him.
Remember the Villarreal first leg? I mean, if it could have been 3-1 and we wouldn't have even stood a chance. I know in hindsight now it feels pointless, but we wouldn't have stood a chance in the second leg, even though we didn't take advantage of it. But I mean, shot stopping, I think even his passing has improved overall. His passing has improved. It's just that the quality of the players that he was passing to, in my opinion, aren't the best. Dani Ceballos, I know you're not looking back at him leaving. And Granit Xhaka, I know for a fact you'd sleep very well if Granit Xhaka left. So I think a 5 is fair, not very good, not very bad, just about average.
David says has a lot of mistakes in him, gives him a 6. I can see RK gives him a 6. I would actually give him a 6, not a 5. I know 5, I get why you'd say 5. But in terms of shot stopping, most of the games he kept us, you know, let's not forget that we have the 3rd best defensive record in the league. I think most of that is because of Leno. Yes, we didn't keep a lot of clean sheets, but we've considered almost the same number of goals as Chelsea, and only City have considered less. So I think that has also helped us. Most of the games we've lost is like 1-0, 2-1 or something. Never really a calamity like in terms of defense. But everyone makes mistakes, and he's one of those players who's made 4 or 5 mistakes. So it's a drop off from the last 2 seasons, because the last 2 seasons he was getting like 7, 8 and stuff like that. So I'm going to give him a 6 for today. So those are the goalkeepers. Now let's get into the defenders. The first defender, obviously, we're going to talk about
15 of them.
All 15 of them. This would take 2 hours if you were to bring in the likes of Socrates. But you can rate Socrates if you want it to be a 0. But left back first. What are we giving Kieran Tierney for a magnificent season for me?
I think I'd give him a 7. I think a 7 is fair. He made strides at one point, a short spell in the season, but then his season has also been blighted with injuries. But obviously, the kind of contributions he made, he was one of our highest chance creators. He had quite a number of assists, and he scored some decent goals. One in the Europa League, one in the
West Brom.
Against West Brom. And I think he's made progress, and I think that's all you can ask of him, is to make more progress. And I think next season, much like many of our players, he's going to be looking to kick on. So I think 7 is very fair for him. I don't think I'd give him any higher than that.
Would you put him in the top 3 of our players this season?
Top 3 of our players this season. I don't know, man. There's Bukayo Saka, there's Emil Smith Rowe. I'd say Lacazette has had more of a consistent impact than Kieran Tierney. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe even Gabriel Magalhães had a better season overall. He was better for a longer period of time. I wouldn't say top 3, maybe top 5.
Okay, Tierney for me, I agree with you. I'll give him a 7. If we were giving halves, it would have been heading into a 7.5 rather than a 6.5.
Yeah.
I think it's been very good. I think like that Benfica goal was very important. Otherwise, it would have been out of the Europa League by February. Forget about me. It would have been out in February. Like that goal was so important. That goal against West Brom, cutting in left, right. There's a bigger impact. In fact, even against Chelsea, he won us that penalty, very important penalty. We were losing game after game. We had to win that Chelsea game. I know people remember Smith Rowe and Saka from that game, but Tierney won us that penalty, even though I still don't think it was supposed to be a penalty. A lot of good crosses.
He tore up. It wasn't just a penalty. He tore up Reece James, who was supposed to be in good form at the time, although he was coming back from injury. But Reece James did not have a good time. So Kieran Tierney 7. I completely agree.
Very, very, very good. And the crosses, I think he's one of the only players we have who can take on players. Like, he doesn't joke around. The crosses is hard. And for ØDEGAARD in the North London derby, for Lacazette, like out of the 12, 13 Lacazette goals, he had like maybe 5 assists. I remember 2 of them, I think, from the West Brom game. So very good.
Even just recently, I mean, when we played, who did we play? Was it Crystal Palace? When the fans were
Pepe
back.
goal,
for the Pepe goal. And it's just, that's why it's a 7. It could have been more if he just didn't suffer so many. Like what, he had 3. He was injured 3 times or 2 times for at least once. He was out for like maybe a month and a half or something.
Yeah. So there's a time against early on in the season, Mane almost killed him when he elbowed him and never picked up a red card. Very, very unfair from VAR. There's also that game where he fell down like he was shot from nowhere. Always some comedy with Arsenal. So David says just needs a stable partnership with players around him. So do you also think like the players playing ahead of him also affects him?
Definitely. I mean,
Aubameyang's work rate.
Aubameyang's work rate was being questioned, and when Emil Smith Rowe was playing on the left, I think maybe there were a number of times where Arteta would have wanted him to have been deeper in our midfield to help Kieran Tierney. But honestly, considering all those challenges and the injuries, a 7 is fair. But at the same time, you can see why he deserves maybe a bit higher. You can see why he could get 7.5 in another season, or maybe.
I think he's one of the few players who I think every fan would agree that he definitely has to stay. The next one is the right back. CALUM Chambers came from nowhere I think against Burnley early on this year. Played that game, played against West Ham. He's played several games, and surprisingly, he's one of the players I wanted to leave. But surprisingly, I think he's done good than bad.
Yeah, he's done more good than bad. He's even played for a short period at centre back, but he did what he could. In my opinion, he didn't necessarily make any mistakes. I mean, his best performance was the West Brom second half, right? So sorry, not West Brom, West Ham.
West Ham, second half. The crosses for ØDEGAARD, and that combination.
He's a centre back. Yeah, he's a centre back playing at right back. I think I'm fair in giving him 6, especially considering he just came back from a long-term injury. And it's not a knock on him. It's not a bad 6. It's a strong 6, So it's a strong 6, and I mean, I'd rather keep him than Rob Holding, if I'm being honest, as a centre back, because he's just more versatile. He can do both roles. His passing might even be better. His distribution on the ball. I think he's also faster and more athletic overall. So I think there's more potential with CALUM than Rob Holding. So I think a 6 is fair. What about you?
I really hope he's gotten over his injury proneness, because that always worries me. Like, I can't trust him with his injuries. That's the thing. Again, he took us back to the Crystal Palace game with Tierney. I'll take it back to the Crystal Palace game with Chambers. That cross for Pepe as well for the first goal. He doesn't mess around. Like, if there's a chance, cross the ball. Like, I see Bellerin so many times, he delays with the ball. Even Pepe, when he's on the wing, he delays with the ball, doesn't cross the ball early on. Chambers just whips it in, and we saw that against West Ham, that away game. Whip it in, and someone can score an own goal. You never know. Just whip it in immediately, and someone could score an own goal if things fall for you. So I'd give Chambers a 6 because he's definitely surprised me this season. He definitely surprised me. I didn't expect that much impact from him. So we're going to give him a 6. We're going to spend short time on him. The next one you're going to go to is Cedric. Now, he's played a few games. I think he's played in patches this season. I think he's actually played in patches this season. What did you give him?
I feel for him because, you know, he was initially brought in to be right back cover. And then also one of his selling points was that he could play at left back as well. But I think the only good game he had at left back was that Southampton game after we got in the Premier League, after we got knocked out by them in the FA Cup. He had a great pass, I think, to Bukayo Saka, who then crossed it into Lacazette. So there was one good game at right back that comes to mind versus Leicester City away from home when we beat them 3-1 as well. But apart from those flashes, he's never really he's never really shown any signs of consistency. So I think it's been a fairly average season. I'm gonna give him a 5.
5. Would you keep him for next season?
I mean, he's signed to a 4-year contract. Who's gonna buy him now?
If let's say like a Norwich who have just been promoted come in and they say, okay, we want Max Aarons, give us 25 million plus Cedric.
Yeah, I'd do that.
You see, I'm a good businessman. I should be in the transfer.
Very good, very good. You've learned from David Dean.
I've learned from David Dean. I don't know if that's a good thing, but because the Arsenal board, I never trusted them. I know he was good. I know he was good back in the day, but with the Arsenal board, I don't know. I'm not sure about everyone, but we give him a 5. The next one is the centre backs. Let's go to Gabriel first. A signing. Okay, go first with Gabriel.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 7 as well. I mean, he also got injured for a bit. The poor guy got COVID as well, right? He contracted COVID as well, or he was exposed to it or something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him a 7. He's been very good at times this season. How many man of the match performances? I think in the beginning, and he got himself some very important goals. Like he gave Willian that assist, and that shouldn't have been an assist for Willian. That's all Gabriel Magalhães for that header. In the Europa League versus Olympiacos. That I hate the assist stat for that. But he's so young. I mean, he's young and he's really taken to the squad. You can tell the squad like him. By the way, guys were laughing at him with his tooth falling out on the final match day.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he's good on the ball. There's room for improvement, but I think that can be said of a lot of players this season. And he's one of those players that I'm really excited to have to form a future partnership, a long-serving partnership for us. And there's I know of a lot of other rival fans who look at him and they go like, they actually wish they got him because despite maybe having some issues here and there, an own goal, I think versus Southampton, wasn't an own goal in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Despite that, I think he's been very good, and I'm comfortable giving him a 7.
I'll tell you 2 things that are remarkable about him. When he came, I thought Saliba was the one who was going to play instead of Gabriel. But surprisingly, it ended up being Gabriel starting the first game against Fulham. That was a surprise. He scored on his debut against Fulham. That game you've mentioned, where he scored that head in the Europa League, he scored a head against Wolves when he lost at home. All of them Willian assists. So I think he's done very good. And I think ending the runs away at Old Trafford and Stamford Bridge, where we've never won in like 15 years, I think one of the main reasons is because Gabriel was top of his form those games. Him and Partey, those games, those are one of the reasons we managed to end those terrible runs away from home. So Gabriel, I agree. The first 3 months were awesome. Awesome. Yes, he's drifted away with the illness, and he went with the injury. He also picked up a red card. Missed out like 2 games or 3 games again. So
unfortunate red card.
If he didn't get that red card and he played maybe a few of those games and maybe helped us through like November and December, because the moment he left, the moment he dropped off, we started losing game after games. So I'm going to give him a 7. I agree with you. First season 7, very, very good. Obviously, his former team has just won the
At
league, and people
22.
are making a mock of us. 22. Yep,
Yeah, but
22.
at 22, and for a centre back to play in the Premier League at that age, he's not necessarily reached Fofana's levels for Leicester, for example, but you can see how he can easily get there, and maybe even go even farther. So 7 is fair.
Yeah, 7. I agree with that. RK asked, did he find his tooth? I don't. Can you find a tooth in such a big stadium? I really doubt.
They found it.
They found it. Who found it? The groundsman?
Yeah, I think so. I think they found it. He posted on his stories on Instagram. He's like, "Don't worry, fans. I found it," and then it was already in his mouth. It must have been a filler. I don't know. What a weird incident.
Yeah,
what I enjoyed about that was Thomas Partey and WILLIAN genuinely laughing, not caring at all. They're genuinely laughing.
It must be. I thought it was painful to lose your teeth, as you say. Maybe it's a feel. I don't know how they are, because every time they lose their teeth, they are laughing about it. So I'm like, it should be painful. It must be painful. So I don't get it. But see, as you can see, our season gets worse even after the season has ended. Just keeps getting worse. The next one is Pablo Mari. Obviously joined us last January, played a few games, got injured for most of this season. But soon as he came back, built a relationship with them. Holding.
Yeah, I'd give him a 5. He's been good at times. He hasn't really put a foot wrong, right?
Yeah.
But actually, you know what? I'm being harsh.
Yeah,
I'd give him a 6. He was above average. Yeah. He was an average. I'd give him a 6. He just never really made the kind of impact that maybe someone younger like Gabriel made. But his distribution is better than. Is probably the second best center back in terms of distribution, and in terms of interceptions, he reads the game better than everybody bar David Luiz. So, we're like you said, I think this one applies very, very accurately. We got what we paid for with Pablo Mari. I mean, £6 million or 6 million euros or whatever thereabouts.
Yeah,
you can't really have too many complaints. Six is fine.
6, I would agree that I was going to give him a 6 when you said 5. So I'm going to give him a 6. I think he's had few bad games. I think at least like maybe 3-4 more good games than poor games. So the other day against Chelsea, made a crucial mistake. We are lucky that Havertz missed the chance. I remember, I think it was against Southampton in that FA Cup game. The positioning was wrong. So I'm going to give him a 6. I hope he improved next season. The next one is Rob Holding. What did you give Rob Holding? Surprisingly, he's been like one of the mainstays in our defense this season.
Yeah, but I can't escape his lack of concentration, man. I mean, it still pisses me off that Raheem Sterling beat him for a header in the first minutes against Manchester City at the Emirates. And that's how we lost. We lost to them 1-0 in both fixtures, home and away.
Yeah.
So remember, we discussed this halfway through the season when he was offered a new contract, and Calum was livid. Mr. Positive, he was livid that we offered him a new contract. But for me, I was okay with it because I only ever saw him as a squad player and nothing more.
Yeah,
he's been good. He's put in some crucial blocks, I remember, in that traditional English centre half style. But I'm gonna go with a 6. I'm going to go with a 6. Very similar to Pablo Mari.
I'll tell you the game which I remember very well. Aston Villa 3, Arsenal 0 at the Emirates. He got ripped apart by Grealish in that game. Absolutely terrible. He got turned like 4 times. There's a time Grealish had him dancing on the wing with Barkley, Watkins, the way he got through him.
He looked like he was fencing. He looked like he was fencing. You know, fencing.
Yeah, fencing. Yeah, fencing. The one. Yeah,
like that sport. For the poking. Yeah.
We'll see it later this year in the Olympics. Maybe he should be there. Maybe he should consider to go for Great Britain. But he was terrible in that game.
His stance was pretty decent. His stance for fencing, he looked like he already got the stance down.
Yeah, the one thing again that worries me is that Sterling header and his positioning. And another thing again that worries me is every time he gets a chance in the opposition box, he always seems to head it off target every single game. I don't understand, because Gabriel has scored. all those players, LUIZ has scored goals. The holding
LUIZ
always
has
seems to
scored,
be
exactly.
off target. I don't understand why. But since he's like played so many games for us, I think I would have given him a 5. But since he's like covered for us so many games, and he's being captain for a few games as well, I don't know. I think I'd give him. It's going to be a 5 or a 6. You've given him a 6.
Yeah, I think
Wow,
you should give him a 6, man, because you can tell he has like a positive impact on the squad. And you know, he was very good. Did he play versus Tottenham? If I'm not mistaken, did he?
at home
I
when you
can't
won the
remember.
game, I can't remember
Yeah,
that,
did
but
he
I think
play?
he actually played. I think he played.
And I think he had a
That.
decent game, you know, apart from that freak Lamella goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it actually went the goal that we conceded versus Tottenham. I think it went
Through
under
his legs.
between through his and Partey's legs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So people are
now
giving him a
I
4
think
and
the guys
5.
in the chat. Yeah, I think the guys in the chat are a bit harsh. Hey treats Adirex. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give him a 6. He hasn't been too bad because I mean we gave LENO a 6, didn't we?
Yeah, we give Leno a 6. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have to stay consistent. You can't give
Yeah.
Rob Holding a 6, a 5, and Leno a
I'm
6.
going to give him a 6. As I said again, we've only considered like 30 something goals in the Premier League. Only Chelsea and City have a better record. I don't think we've considered, like, apart from that Aston Villa game and the Liverpool game at home the other day, I don't think we've been hammered. I don't think we've really been hammered in any game like 5-6 nils and all
Yeah,
the defenders were just awful.
we've never conceded more than 3 goals under Arteta. You know,
Yeah.
compare
So
that to maybe Ole and them guys where they've conceded 6-1 at home to Tottenham,
yeah, yeah. City have
4-2,
considered
4 goals.
5. Yeah.
Exactly.
Liverpool have considered 7. So I'm going to give him a 6, but
In the Premier
people
League,
can
though.
make an argument for a 5, David. I hear what you're saying, so it could be a 5. Now, all competitions, I'm going to give him a 6. I think most of the other competitions he didn't really play
No.
anyway.
I meant I meant I was correcting myself that we didn't concede more than 3 goals in the Premier
In the
League
Premier League,
under
yeah,
Arteta.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, those are the defenders. You see, not so many defenders. You would have been here if you had the likes of
Yeah.
Mustafi, Kolasinac in the West. Let's go into midfield. Granit Xhaka, the well-debated Granit Xhaka. A lot of people actually saying he's had a very good season this season. But again, I always remember those mistakes. I always remember that on screen right now. I always remember the red card that cost us, silly red cards and stuff. What would you give Granit Xhaka for this season?
Man, I don't think he's had a very good season. I think he had one spell of games where he was consistent in that he didn't make mistakes that cost the team. But the red card, the Burnley, the way we conceded the Burnley goal, just overall. And the thing is, like, yeah, he scored one great free kick against Chelsea. You know, you can't take that away from him. That was a great goal. That's going to be
good.
in one of Arsenal's more recent top 5 free kick highlights. You know, in 2023, you'll see it in Premier League's highlight reels. But you see, I don't mind if a midfielder is making mistakes, trying things, right? And Granit Xhaka is trying things, yeah, but maybe he doesn't have the technical capability, but at the same time, he doesn't provide anything going forward. Declan Rice, you just saw him score a goal in the final match day of the season, where he ran, you know, like a footballer should be able to do.
N'Golo Conte pushing forward.
Ndidi has a goal and 4 assists. Kante has, I think, 2 assists. So, like, it's just not good enough in my opinion. Scott McTominay, Fred, they have goals.
He's scored goals. They have goals.
Yeah, they have goals, and that's why for me, I can't give him anything over above a 6. You know, just like we want to stay consistent. We don't want to be too harsh on anyone, even though I don't believe that he should be playing for us in general. He's not the level. So yeah, 6.
Yeah. I'm going to give him a 6 because I think, especially covering that left back position for like 6-7 games, I think he did quite well covering that position.
True.
I don't know who would have played in that because I know we had
before this goal, he played a very crucial role in the build-up to us winning the free kick and then him actually scoring the free kick. So he's had good moments, he's had good performances, and let's not lie, he's our best midfield partner for Thomas Partey.
Yeah, and I think he's also reduced the mistakes and reduced the red cards and yellow cards. I think in the first season he had like 3 red cards and like 12 yellows. I think this season he's reduced the yellow cards and the giving away the balls. And I think he's made like 2 or 3 mistakes. I think he has like 8 from the last 2 seasons combined. So I think he's done
No,
well this
from the
season. Like
last
2017,
ever
18,
since he
18,
signed for
19.
us, yeah.
Yeah, he
But
has the
and the
most
thing is,
mistakes in the Premier League.
exactly, and the thing is, the next person are guys like Claudio Bravo, Nicolas Otamendi, guys who've already left the Premier
Cedric is on that list, by the way,
Oh my
as
God.
well. Cedric is on that top 5 list. So we have 2 players
Oh, shame.
who are on the list of players who've made the most mistakes. So David gives Xhaka a 6. Treat says Xhaka gets a 7. He's been solid. David says, remember, you're not in Europe and you finished 8th. None of these players can be rated too high. Maybe we'll come to the forward players who you can rate high, David. Interested to see what you're going to give the forward players. Hi, EGTV, how are you? So yeah, I think I'd give him a 6 mostly because he covered that left back position and he didn't make as many mistakes as he usually does, and his discipline has improved this season. Let's go to the next one. Our new signing, Thomas Partey. I remember the day you were signing. We did a live stream with you that time. You were signing that day, and we were so excited, man. So, do you think he's lived up to expectation? The first shot on target he had in the final day.
Oh my God! And he was so unlucky not to score. That would have been a banger. But then obviously the comparisons would have been made between him and Willian. Thomas Partey, I give him a 6 as well, but for different reasons. Yeah, he can be a bit careless on the ball sometimes, but he's trying things. I don't mind it. But he's our best midfielder, and you can see it clearly.
Yeah,
I think his season, I'd give it a 6 for different reasons, because he got injured, he was played and risked, and then he got injured, and then obviously you had that weird moment where he started coming off versus Tottenham and he was pushed back into the pitch by Arteta. But you're seeing a lot of cameos, a lot of signs and glimpses of what he can do, and I'm genuinely excited for what he can do next season. I'm still excited, by the way. I haven't lost any excitement for my boy Thomas. So 6, I think 6 is a fair shout. Huh?
Yeah, I think we even did a song for him. I think 6 is fair enough for you. Thomas Partey even has a song. I think 6 is fair, but again, just like Gabriel, I think winning that game that's on screen right now, that is one of the reasons why you won away at Old Trafford and away at Chelsea, like Thomas Partey in midfield. That game against United, that showed us what we have. Like, he literally dominated the likes of Pogba in that midfield in terms of pushing forward, in terms of defending. He has the body for that midfield. The thing I like about him, even though he doesn't shoot on target, needs to improve on that. He's not afraid of shooting the ball. We've had midfielders over the years, Torreira, Guendouzi, Wilshere, all these players we've had in midfield, none of them used to shoot the ball. Coquelin, a lot of players we've had in midfield never shoot the ball. So I'm happy he shoots the ball, and not the best of seasons because of the injury. I remember that Tottenham thing you said. I really hated that you can't come off the pitch in the middle of the game like that. But also, I was to blame for a few things. Whoever you want to choose, but I think you'd give him a 6. Let's hope he has a better season next season. So Thomas Partey gets a 6. Let's go to the another midfielder who has really surprised me this season, MOHAMED I didn't expect him to be at Arsenal this season.
Yeah, I mean, he started off the season quite well with that solid performance versus Liverpool. He obviously had that performance as well with Thomas Partey at Old Trafford. But apart from that, he hasn't really offered much. At least he has some goals in him, so you can't hate too much on him. But he doesn't make any glaring mistakes like GRANIT, Xhaka, or some of the other.
Is that because he doesn't try anything and he's always playing safe?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. He doesn't try to tackle. He doesn't try a through pass or whatever. But he scored some great goals, in the Europa League. I think I'm going to give him a 6 as well. I can't hate.
I agree with the 6. I think he's one of the surprises is CALUM Chambers. I think he's done more good than bad.
All our players 6s.
I think I think it could be, most of them could get between 4, 5, and 6s because it's been an underwhelming season. But again, as I said, the likes of Partey, I think it's fair to give him a 6. I think Xhaka, it's fair to give him a 6 because it can't be higher than that. And I think giving him low, I don't think, for example, it's been average. Maybe Xhaka's been average. Maybe I think we gave Cedric a 5 or maybe even a 4. I think we gave the likes of Pablo Mari 6 as well. But yeah, we'll go through it at the end. But LENY I think would give a 6, but I wouldn't mind if anyone gave him a 5. But I think he's done the job. He scored goals. I think he scored the most goals from midfield for us, 2 goals. I think that's the most.
And both
David
of them
says
outside the
LENY 5. Yeah, LENY 5. I know it's not exciting. He's not an exciting player, but for what he did, again, that game Zuhum has mentioned away at Old Trafford, such games, Liverpool Community Shield is done very well. LENY 5. I know maybe people will give him a 5. PARTEY will be more effective if out forward move quicker is forward thinking. We'll talk about that at the end, David. And hi guys. So the next one, the last midfielder is going to be Dani Ceballos. What did you give Dani Ceballos? Now, last season, to be honest, I was one of those people who was screaming for Ceballos to come back. We hadn't signed PARTEY, and he hadn't come back. I didn't know we were going to sign him or keep him. He played very well. He made us win the FA Cup last season against Sheffield in the semi-final, the quarter-final. One of the reasons why he reached Wembley. This season as well, there's a few times he's given some through passes, and I'm like, yeah, he's probably the only player who can do that in an Arsenal shirt. Newcastle in the FA Cup, he gave a pass to TIERNEY. I was like, wow. The other day, he also gave a pass against Benfica. I think he gave a pass to, I think it was Cedric, and he crossed the ball to SAKA, and we scored 1 to make it 1-1, I think, in Rome against Benfica. But the mistakes, the red cards, what did you give him?
I think I'm going to give him a 4.
Yeah.
I'm just hugely disappointed by him. He's weak. He's slow. He's not aggressive. He doesn't have many goals in him. He doesn't have many assists. He doesn't have any goals or assists, I believe.
Yeah, doesn't have 2 seasons, no goals. That's crazy.
Exactly. And we need midfielders that can actually score goals. So I'm going to give him a 4, and I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think 4. I think nothing to add there. I think Ceballos is going to be a definite 4. And then the next one you're going to talk about. Okay, let's go into the more positive ones. Let's go to the attacking midfielders. Let's start with Martin Odegaard.
I think I'm going to give him a 6. He's shown glimpses of what he can do. Yet that you have to give him an extra point for scoring against Tottenham, even if it was deflected the way it did. But he showed real passion. Even the West Ham game, he was crucial in the West Ham draw 3-3.
Yeah.
So I'm giving him a 6. Or maybe a strong 6. I don't know. I'm going to give him a 6. I think that's fair.
Odegaard gets a 6. He's played, obviously got injured in the international duty, and then since then I think he's dropped off. But that West Ham game, that Tottenham game at home, that I think Benfica Olympiacos game in the Europa League where he scored a bang, and I think he's done well in those games. Definitely added something we didn't have. Kansiake gives him a 6, so I think a 6 is fair enough.
It's fair.
Let's go to the even more positive ones, man. I'll start with Emil Smith-Rowe, man. I watched this guy in December, at the start of December. I watched him in the under-23s. He was playing for the under-23s at the start of December against Everton. He scored the winning goal. We won the game, and then he was brought into the first team. I think he was actually brought into the first team because we had to try new things.
Yes.
We had to try new things. We just had to try something new. And the moment he came in, wow, the amount of performances, the way he takes on players, not afraid of taking on players. He can play well as a left winger, central midfielder. He can play as a number 10. He's played very well on the right side. The crosses, he's added goals. He's started to score goals, I think 3 or something this season. What did you give Smith-Rowe? The FA Cup against Newcastle, he saved us. We'd have been out in the first round.
I'd give him an 8.
An 8?
I'd give him an 8. Yeah, I'd give him an 8 because he's played half the amount of games Willian has played, but he has a similar amount of assists. He's created so many chances. He takes on so many players. He plays with such bravery, and it's the kind of thing that we needed so badly during that run of games where we just kept losing in December. So I'm gonna give him an 8. Yeah, 8 is fine for me.
Do you remember that Newcastle game in the FA Cup when he was sent off and then the referee went and checked it and then realized it was a yellow card? The thing I remember from that is the moment Smith-Rowe got that red card, I was just like, everyone's heads dropped. that showed you how important he was to us. I was like, without Smith Rowe, we can't win any games. Imagine, without Smith Rowe, a guy who was on loan at Huddersfield last season, we can't win any games. So that showed you the amount of impact he had at Arsenal. Played very well for most of the games, even recently against Chelsea, against Palace. I think he's one of the players who are really looking forward to what he has next season. So people are giving him a 7. And I actually agree with you. I'd actually give him an 8 for the kind of impact he's had this season. The assists, the goals, like he has more assists and goals than Dani Ceballos in the last 2 years. Just me through in the 5 months, he had more than what Ceballos has done in the last 2 years. And for his age, the kind of impact he's had, I'm going to give him
the goal against Chelsea. We can't take it away from him.
Very, very good. Very, very good. The next player is the other player, Bukayo Saka.
Bukayo Saka was our best player of the season, in my opinion. I think I'm inclined to give him an 8 as well, but he was slightly better than Emile Smith-Rowe. More consistent across different positions. I mean, he's even played at right back and still given assist. And honestly, Bukayo Saka's carried us sometimes single-handedly. There were some games where Emile Smith-Rowe dropped off. You can see maybe fatigue was kicking in. He's young, But Bukayo Saka, I'm going to be giving him a strong 8 over Emile Smith-Rowe. So Bukayo Saka is our player of the season.
Yeah, a strong 8 basically means if you were given halves, you'd have gotten an 8.5, and Smith would have gotten a 7.5.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just finding a way around it.
Yeah, he was very good this season, and like
he was.
The one thing that if he had improved on, he'd have maybe gotten even a 9 is the finishing. I think his finishing is poor. I think away at Wolves when he got the chance. Yeah,
exactly. Those kind of chances against Wolves. I mean, he should be burying those chances. There was one against Burnley. He should have scored.
Burnley twice in that same game, in the space of 10 minutes. West Ham away, when you're 3-0 down, he had the chance to make it 3-1 or 3-2. He missed it one-on-one. He's missed so many one-on-one chances, is what I'm trying to say. Against United, that Old Trafford game, he had an open header right before half-time. He missed it. So I think if he improves on his finishing.
It was a hard one.
Okay. There was City away as well. City away as well, the 5th game of the season. If you go back to that game in the past, one-on-one chance. Exactly. See, there are so many you can remember. And but apart from that, I think when he has the ball, I'm confident. When he's on the bench and he's coming on, I'm feeling like, something can happen here. When he has the ball on the wing, something can happen here. The crosses, as you said, from right back, left back. He can probably, who needs a goalkeeper? Maybe even if you don't sign Ryan, Bukayo Saka can deputize for LENO. Maybe you don't need to waste money. So Bukayo Saka, for me, gets a strong 8. I agree with you. So what a player, what a player. Let's go to Nicolas Pepe.
7. I'd give him a 7. Obviously, he had that silly red card versus Leeds, but just imagine how much more he would have produced if the minutes that were being allocated to Willian were instead redirected towards Pepe. I mean, he's had 21 goal contributions in all competitions, 16 goals and 5 assists. And there were some great goals as well, some bangers. So you remember the one in the Europa League, you remember the one he scored against Crystal Palace recently, or even the one that he scored against Sheffield at the beginning of the season, which was very similar to the Wolves. The Sheffield one was very similar to the one he scored versus Brighton. And he's been inconsistent in the game itself. He can be a bit weird because he can give the ball away, but at the same time, he still gets on the score sheet, or he helps someone gets on the score sheet. I'm going to give him a good 7.
Yeah, I mean, let me be honest with you. That game against Leeds, when he picked up that red card, I started giving up on him. Like, there's even a time I was like, he's on the same level with Willian. When he went out of that FA Cup and they both played, I was so mad at both of them. They were so awful in that game, that FA Cup game. I was like, he's on the same level. I don't care who plays or who sits on the bench. But since then, especially the away games, he's had such a big impact. That Leicester away, him and Willian are very good in that game, Leicester away. He was good at Wolves away, even though we lost the game, he was very good in that game. Recently, even in the home games, even against Slavia Prague at home, that important goal before he conceded in the last minute, he got that goal very, very well. Like penalties, they think the 2 penalties he's taken, very good No nerves. Villarreal away, if he missed that penalty, would have been out in the first leg. So I think since the start of the year has been incredible. So I'd give him a 7. I can see some 8s in the chat. So maybe a 7, maybe not 8, maybe not in the same level with Saka for the whole season. So I'd give him a 7. Then the next one is let's go to Martinelli first. Do you think you've seen enough of him?
No, I mean, he was a bit of a catalyst.
He's played like 8 games.
Yeah, I know, and he hasn't scored that many goals. There's some chances where if he had a better first touch, he could have set himself up for a better shot. But you know, he was part of the reason why we rediscovered some level of form in in December after the Chelsea game. So that's a tough one. I can't choose between 6 and 7. I think I'm going to go 6.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think 6 is fair enough. And then the one you're really dreading, Zaho. It's time for Willian.
No. 2.
2. I think you're being harsh. I think
Glenn, wait. This guy had the most assists for Arsenal this season. But how many of them were simple crosses? There was the one for Gabriel Magalhães from the Fulham corner. There was one for David Luiz. There was one for Gabriel Magalhães in the Europa League. There was one where he gave it to Aubameyang against Burnley. Aubameyang ran, did a couple of step overs and then shot. Those aren't really assists, man. And then when you consider that this guy's on 220k, nah. And this guy created 77 chances last season for Chelsea. How many did he create this season? Not even half. Less than half for sure.
Yeah.
So no, I'm sorry, man. He's a big disappointment. I hope we sell him and he gets a 2 from me.
Does that change your mind, that free kick?
Yeah, no, it doesn't change my mind at all. I mean, it was a great free kick, but Granit Xhaka's free kick didn't change my mind at all.
Okay, I'm going to look for the positives. In the first game against Fulham, if you had told me that he'd have a terrible season, I wouldn't have believed. He was very good in that game. I know when you say when he ran, that's the way he played the ball with Bellerin on the right and then like passed the ball over to the other wing for Aubameyang. I know some other assists were not really classed as assists, but in the FPL they're classed as assists. I know that. Leicester away, I think he played very well. Leicester away, I think against against Benfica when he came on. In the second leg, I think he helped.
He gave an assist.
He helped that game for TIERNEY, I know, but it was TIERNEY basically doing all the work, I know as well.
But in the Leicester game, I don't want to take anything away. In the Leicester game, you know, he dribbled past a couple of players. He drove with the ball into the Leicester midfield and then found a good switch out to Pepe. So Willian, I don't want him to stay. I don't even want to see what he can do next season. I don't care. Let him go. You see, RK Sweetie says Willian 1. David Onua says Willian gets a 0. I'm the one being generous. Glenn.
I was seriously going to give him a 3 because of that fact that he's had the most assists for us.
If you give him a 3, you just leave now. Me and the chat will do it.
Okay, 2.5. 2. Okay, let's give him a 2. I think 2 is fair enough. I think he definitely went missing for nearly the whole season. 1 goal, same with Alisson. You might as well have signed Alisson if you were to get 1 goal from him. Free kick was nice. Leicester, we only few games, good games, but a lot of bad games. And I get you guys. So yeah, maybe 2 is enough. Maybe even a 1 or a 0, as they say.
Oh wait,
so,
you know why it's also a 1 instead of a 2?
Yeah.
You forgot.
Willian.
Just try and think about it. Guys, in the chat, try and guess why it should be a 1. There was an off-the-pitch incident.
Because he was wearing a Chelsea thing.
No. There was an off-the-pitch incident with Willian this season.
Dubai.
And then it affected him on the pitch. Then he was forced to be subbed off. It's a 1 for me. Yeah. I agree with David, with RK Sweetie. It's a 1.
We have to move on before it gets to 0. let's go to the few last people. Let's go to Aubameyang now. After the end of last season and that goal in the Community Shield, FA Cup semi-final, final, I thought he was going to be very good again. Also, Fulham in the opening day did very well. But what went wrong, man? A lot of he got ill, missed a lot of chances. Playing on the left side, I don't think it helped him.
I think playing on the left side is a non-issue, to be honest, because he seems to get more chances playing on the left than on than down the middle. Because if you look at the way we attack, right, we attack in a bit of a weird U pattern, from right back into the midfielders, into the left back, and then we get a cut back or something. So I think a lot of it was out of his hands because. Think about it. Arteta didn't find a working system in terms of attack for like 8 weeks that cost us essentially a top 4 position right now. It cost us a top 4 position right now. And because of that, we didn't have the midfielders, and we didn't allow a midfielder of a certain caliber and certain style to play with Aubameyang, to feed him the kind of football passes that he would relish. So a lot of it was out of his hands, and there was a bit of bad form. Of course, there were some big chances that he missed in the Europa League, and in the Premier League, the big chances that you don't associate with Aubameyang at all. But then obviously, the issue with his mum, him getting malaria in the international break, the guy slept on the airport floor. And that's supposed to be, an international player. It's been a very off season, but in the same way, it's been a very off season for many other players for different reasons. So I'd give him. I'm not criticizing him too much, although I would have liked to see him, even when he was playing up top, I would have liked to see him drop in and try and exchange a few passes. I remember there's one of my best friends. He played here in Kenya. He was a left winger, right-footed, and he was told to play up top because they were lacking options. Now the coach told him, don't stay up there waiting for the ball. You have to come and mix it up. You have to come and mix it up. Just drag some defenders out of position. The benefit is that you drag some defenders out of position, like I just said. And also you get a touch of the ball. You get a feel of the ball. You get to enjoy it. And so that when it does come to you in the box, you're hot. You're ready. You're ready to shoot. You're ready. You're on toes. Aubameyang didn't necessarily do that when he's up top for a bit of time, but he has some assists. He has some goals. So I think I'm going to give him a 5.
Come on.
Okay, no. You know why? You know why I say 5? Like I said, it's not a criticism of him. It's in comparison to his levels. In comparison to his levels, this man was top scorer last season, and one of the second top scorer last season, and one of the top scorers the season before that. He hit the ground running when he came to the Premier League. So it's in comparison to what his levels are. And I mean, come on, you saw him getting knocked off the ball by John Stones the way he did.
I know.
City. It was a bit embarrassing.
I know, but overall in the whole season, for a bad season, scoring or close to 20 goals. I think he scored 10 in the league. I think like 4 something in the Europa League, a couple more in the FA Cup. I think
actually you're right.
Okay, I'll tell you that FA Cup game he scored against Newcastle, very crucial goal. In the Europa League, if it wasn't for him, he would have been out against Benfica. I think those two goals. I know in the first leg he missed an open goal. In the second leg, though, he got those 2 important goals. He scored a hat-trick against Leeds. I think he's not really been on the pitch for any penalties this season. I know he's missed a lot of big chances, but it's still a drop-off. Remember last season we were giving him 9s. So even giving him a 6 this season is still a drop-off.
I hear you. You're right. And here's why. If you compare someone who was bought for around the similar price tag, Timo Werner, he's probably had like a 4 or 5. I think Aubameyang, we can give him a 6, a strong 6.
I'd give him a 6. I'd give him a 6. Maybe just middle 6. I think because it'd have been better if he scored more goals. But obviously, it's kind of disappointing. Yeah, 0.5. I think middle 6.
I like your grammar. Not 0.5. Not a strong just a middle 6. Half 6.
Just like draw it up in your head, like middle 6 somewhere. So the last 2 players, NKETIAH, I know you're not a fan of him.
You can't give him too harsh a rating.
Mostly Carabao in Europe.
You can't give him too harsh a rating because he didn't get that many opportunities. Even though, personally speaking, I wouldn't have been confident that he would have necessarily proven himself. I just don't think he's the right caliber of players. I think he's very similar to Joe Willock in the way that Joe Willock's gone to Newcastle and scored. He's going to be good for a counter-attacking team, tactically speaking, just like Joe Willock, you know? Poaching's kind of striker. He might be good for, I don't know, one of the teams that's just come up, maybe Watford, playing off Troy Deeney, you know, that kind of striker. So I think I'll give him a 4. I think I'll give him a 4, and I think that's.
I think I agree that. I think he's got a few goals in the Europa.
David agrees.
I think he's got a few 4s in a few goals in the Europa, and a few. Maybe that goal against Fulham saved us from embarrassment, losing to Fulham for the first time at home in years.
What was embarrassing about that was that instead of taking the ball to try and go and win the game, he goes to celebrate. You can always call me. It's mentality. So childish. And honestly, it's about mentality. You
can't do that in a Roy Keane team.
Exactly. You can't do that in why Roy Keane? Don't go far, bro. You can't do that with Patrick de Vieira and Dennis Bergkamp and Martin Keown. You know, they'll kill you. They will kill you.
I know. The funny thing is with that David, you know, he was at Leeds and they didn't sign him up. I think they actually left him on the bench for a few games. Bielsa actually left him on the bench for a few games because of Bamford, and you can see why Bamford is clear. Then the last player, a positive, Lacazette.
Lacazette, I think it's a good way to bid him farewell. A 7 is a very good return. His highest ever goal-scoring return, by the way, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Right? I think 17 goals in all competitions. Which isn't very good.
Very good goals again.
Very good goals, and the thing is, it's not just about his assists, his goals, though. I mean, some of our best goals that we've scored this season, like the one
just a moment. I think your sound is disappeared a bit. Maybe just trying to connect something, as I say. The one thing I like about Lacazette, whenever he's gotten a penalty. Now he's gotten penalties in all the big games, like Tottenham at home, Chelsea at home, Leicester away, and he also always has the nerve of scoring, and he doesn't miss the penalties. The energy with him in the game, every single game, he gives 100%. Yes, I remember those 2 chances he missed against Liverpool. Maybe you'd have changed our season around maybe that time if he won at Liverpool.
No, I wouldn't have.
But the goals, though, I really love the goals. Those, as you said, almost 20 goals. So anything to add?
He scored some very good goals. You're right. When you consider the kinds of goals that he scored, it's a variety of goals. They were headed goals, there were tap-ins, there were penalties, there were some distance strikes, you know, some clinical finishes inside the box. It's also you have to give credit to his contribution off the ball, his contribution in the build-up. You remember that great pre-assist in the West Brom goal? That great goal that we scored.
SAKA and Smith-Rowe,
and you have to give him credit also for his leadership, because he's been captain on numerous times, numerous occasions for us. So that's why I feel like a 7 is a very good. It's a good season for him to bid us farewell. Thank you. You're never going to be the striker we hoped you would have been, and maybe the instability at the club around the period with which he arrived played a big role to that as well. But sorry, mates. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
It looked like he was really enjoying playing with SAKA and Smith-Rowe than, let's say, a Pepe and a WILLIAN. He was really enjoying playing with the young boys. He looked like the father to those young boys, but he did very, very well. Like those games you mentioned, that West Brom. That West Brom away scored a goals, and that pre-assist for SAKA and Smith-Rowe, very, very good. Long distances. For some reason, he looks good. Maybe plays well with the blue. I don't know. I maybe need to get a blue.
Didn't he also score a long distance goal in the Europa League?
Europa League, very, very. It was a cracker. Maybe a proper goal of the season, maybe. So I think it's been up there. The big games, as I said, the penalties never misses. I think I'd give him a 7, a strong 7, heading into an 8, maybe in the top 3 players this season. So that is Lacazette. Thank you for the super sticker, RK. They give him 7-7. His older plays good. Yep, I agree that then. Mikel Arteta is the last one. So.
Mikel Arteta?
Yeah. What did you give him out of 10? decision making, transfers at the start of the season, January, all that?
I have no what's the word I'm trying to look for? I don't feel sorry for him at all, because I feel like he's brought this on himself sometimes. You know, Pepe could have scored more goals, provided more assists, built up more momentum and consistency, developed even more. He could have given more minutes to Gabriel Martinelli, but he chose the older Brazilian. You know, he kept rewarding. He kept rewarding bad performances like Granit Xhaka and NENY, and maybe even DANI Ceballos. With Hector Bellerin, he in my opinion, he cost us top 4 this season, but it's a double-sided coin, because on the one hand, you look at it like, yeah, he cost us the top 4, but at the same time, on the other hand, you look at the points tally between us and the top 4.
61 is not bad. He actually said it in the interview. If 61 points last season, would have been 5th.
Exactly, but you know, in comparison to the clubs around us and how much they spent and how they had a more experienced, like for example, Tottenham had more experienced manager, but they only finished 1 point ahead of us. You know what I mean? They have arguably a better squad with. I mean, they had more informed players. If they do a season review on their squad, they have a couple of 9s. You know, Harry Kane is probably a 10 with the top scorer and the top assist. The last person to ever do that was the main man himself, King Thierry. So King Henry, right? So they just simply had more about them. And if you look at, for example, Chelsea as well, and you compare the expenditure vis-a-vis the amount of bad decisions we got in comparison to others, there was actually an article I saw today. I read. I can't remember on what platform or what news outlet. But it was saying that, you know, if VAR hadn't been applied this season, Arsenal would have finished 6th.
Yeah, we would. A lot of decisions going against us, and that's the one thing I also blame.
Just like what you said we would, you know. So
we missed out by 1 point by the missed chances. I think has destroyed us. The red cards this season has destroyed us. But let me try and look for the positives for you. The transfer windows, I think they did a great job. I know it's not just him, but signing Gabriel, signing PARTEY, or signing ØDEGAARD in January, getting rid of the likes of Socrates, Mustafi, Kolasinac in all one window, and we were talking about needing 2 windows to get rid of all of them. Obviously, a negative is playing Willian and Bellerin. Maybe the like. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kolasinac is coming back.
No, he's going to leave. Goodness no. I mean, playing the likes of Willian and Bellerin too much, that obviously affected. The moment he took them out to improve, maybe if he did that earlier, would have been far. I'd say again, the bigger teams, you mentioned it earlier, we lost 1-0 to City twice. This is a team that has been beating us by 3 and 4 over the years. We managed to win away at United, away at Chelsea. We beat Tottenham at home.
We beat Chelsea home and away.
Home and away. First time for, I think, 17 years we beat them home and away since our invincible season. So that's a while. So I think there's those positives considering few goals.
We beat Leicester.
That best defensive record. We beat Leicester away. Most of the games, like away at Wolves, the red card cost us. But yeah, I'm not taking away from us finishing 8th, as David said. I know he finished 8th. I think the FA Cup is what annoyed me the most. He went to the silly lineup and it cost us the FA Cup, and now I've gone for the strongest lineup because that is our best opportunity to go anywhere. So I'd give him a 5. Give him.
Yeah, you agree with me.
Yeah, I'd give him a 5. Nothing higher than that. I think that's fair enough. So who was your player of the season, Saka? Okay, go ahead.
My player of the season is Bukayo Saka. Sorry.
Yeah. I think he's gotten 75% of the vote. I put a poll out yesterday. So far, 1K votes. 1K votes has gotten 75% so far, and Pepe is number 2 with 8%. So both giving Saka and Pepe number 2, and then a bit of Smith Rowe and Tierney as the number 3. So that's it, man. Thank you for all the.
No, wait. Just before you go, I just want to get some thoughts, and maybe this might be repetitive on your end, but How do you feel about us not being in Europe?
How do I feel? I really wanted us to get Europe. I didn't actually mind playing in the Conference League because it gives you time to nurture the young people, like the likes of Willock and Nelson. I'm now worried about them. Where do they
Yeah,
play?
but it
Because the
robs
FA
our
Cup.
sense of training time.
Yeah, but the FA Cup starts in January, so no playing time for them. Maybe you need to get rid of most of them. I do agree it gives us more time to train over in the midweek and stuff. But what if we don't qualify again next season? Does that show you anything again? Maybe
No,
we don't have the
you
right
see
players and the
that.
right manager. Maybe
You
it
see
could be a
that's
good
why.
thing.
Yeah, you see that's why I'm not afraid of that question. I'm more
Yeah,
positive. I'm thinking with I'm looking at my glass half full because look at our run between December to the end of the season, with the lack of investment, with some big injuries in big games, like in the Europa League semi-final with Kieran Tierney and then missing out.
yeah,
And honestly, when you consider some of the decisions that went against us, the fact that
mm,
we finished third with the third highest amount of goals scored and the
yeah,
I think second best, if not third best defense, I really
yeah,
think there's a lot to be happy about. And I don't think the gap between us and Chelsea is that big
mm,
because on paper it might look like there's a gulf in class, but on the
yeah,
pitch we show that it's not that big. So
yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, remember what I told you at the beginning of the season? I mentioned it, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans, especially on Fan Zone or the Arsenal fans that I interact with online, maybe even
yeah,
some here, when I
yeah,
said there's a lot of championship players that can improve our squad. Now look at the players that we're being linked with: Max Aarons, Ivan
mm,
Toney,
mm.
Buendia. There is
Championship players,
Hodgson as well. Sorry.
championship players, the good
Yeah,
championship players.
Sanderberg,
Yeah,
who's going down now with his club. So
yeah,
there's a reason I saw that in them is because there's actual good footballers that don't need to be flashy. You don't need an 80 million, 90 million signing of Jack Grealish. So I
yeah.
think the gap isn't that big, and hopefully we can see something happen this summer. So I'm happy for it. I'm glad. I'm just glad we don't have to deal with the Europa Conference League.
Awesome, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the comments, RK, David, Kokia, Leon, T-Rex or something. I've forgotten your name, all the comments. GGMU TV, my new fan, obviously waiting for the final. Ham, Daganda, thank you. Arbe Keys, thank you for all the comments. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Zone, for coming on, man. That was
Thank
awesome.
you for having me.
Looking through the whole season. That is awesome. So, yeah, transfer window is open. Let's hope we do something. The Euros is starting in a month's time. Let's see if we can get any deals done before then. Thank you for the super sticker, IK. Thank you for watching. Keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later.